Ready, Coach?
Ready?
Welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. Just wrapped up player interviews here at Catholic Pointe High School here in New Roads, Louisiana. Get to talk to the head football coach now, Coach Jacob Caruth, kind enough to allow us to come talk to his guys. And now we're going to talk a little Hornet football with the head man himself going into year 3. Excitement is in the air. Hard work is being poured in this summer, and I'm very excited to see my good friend again and talk a little ball. It's always an honor, and thank you so much for having us today.
Yeah, appreciate you coming over here. It's always exciting to get to sit down with you. Keep up with your show as much as I can. It gets busy during the season, but always try to make some time to watch what y'all are doing. Y'all do a great job.
Coach, first off, congratulations on the success year 1, year 2. I know you had to deal with a lot over the last couple of years. Injuries have occurred. You've had some late starts into years. So from what you've done up to this point, going into a strong year 3, congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that. But it's big credit to our kids and the support that we get from our community.
Correct. And how we go into year 3 now, Coach, and it's got to be one of your more confident years going into Hornet Football 2025.
Absolutely. We're feeling really good about where we're at as a program. Had a good year 1. Started off a little slow, but got the ball rolling. Last year took another step. Had a good year, but didn't finish the way that we had wanted to.
Yeah.
So, but that can be good at times, because when you don't quite make it all the way to that mountaintop, it leaves you with that extra motivation to get there, that extra fire. So our boys have been working really hard. We're really excited about this year. We think we've got something special.
Speaking of your boys, Coach, tremendous interview just now. What can you say about your thoughts on the players' interview, how they represented your program?
Yeah, I think they did a great job. They represented our program well. They were well spoken. They did a really good job. There's those 4 leaders on our team, and they did a really good job representing Hornet football.
Coach, let's talk about this year's group before we dive into a little bit of last year. Let's talk about this year's group real quick. The vibes right now in the locker room. Also, busy all season. I mean, you lose out on the season last year, and it's not like you can say, all right, guys, let's go back to work. Let's get back in the weight room. You got guys going out to play basketball, golf, baseball, whatever, track. I mean, how's that for a smaller school, knowing I might not see some of these guys for a while?
Well, it's a double-edged sword. One, I love that they get to go do all that stuff. I want them to be involved. I want them to play everything. Our quarterback, Jude Morrison, I feel like he plays 15 sports, and he's always doing something. And I love that for them. And I love getting to watch them do their other sports. At the same time, it's difficult on me and our football staff because we don't get to see those guys. From the time the season ended until after baseball, golf, and track ended, I didn't get to work with my quarterback at all. But he is working on his skills, and so are the others that play all these other sports. They're working on their overall skills athletically, playing those other sports, and it benefits them for football, just like playing football benefits them in those other sports.
Right.
And also gave us an opportunity to focus more on our young guys. The 8th graders coming up to be freshmen this year, we got them in our 7th period athletic PE after semester change last year. So from January through May, with all the older guys off playing other sports, it gave us more time to really focus on developing them.
So when did you get the whole group back? Was it after the boys finished up playoffs for baseball?
Yep, when baseball and golf ended, because several of those guys played golf as well, and they had a good, successful golf season, several of them in track. Most of our starting guys, especially our skill guys, all played baseball as well. So once all those spring events, spring sports wrapped up, then we started to get them back in the weight room, but really didn't do anything too heavy because right then you're getting into finals and school year's wrapping up. So just got them back in the weight room, started doing some drills, some speed work, and then once summer started was really the first time where we were able to get everybody back together and really do football stuff.
You had to let go of a really good senior group a year ago, Coach. Talk to me about what did they mean to you, and what do you like about this year's senior group?
Last year's senior group was small. but very good and impactful. Parker Jewell and Luke Bosberg were our two leading tacklers. I believe for 2 years in a row they were our two leading tacklers. And both contributed immensely on the offensive side of the ball as well and were great leaders. Tyler Dowden was a multi-year starter at guard. Brooks Capps was explosive in every facet of the game, returning kicks, making big plays as a receiver, affecting the game on defense. And then, obviously Rory Lambert, who's now playing offensive line at Northwestern State. It's huge when you lose a Division I player. That's a huge hole to fill. And the leadership, not just the play, but also the leadership that those five provided. But I feel like we're in a really good place with this year's senior group. This year's senior class has doubled what last year's group was. So we had 5 last year. We've got 10 seniors this year. They're leading really well. They're leading in the right way, setting the example and building their teammates up, correcting them in the right way, not beating them down, not tearing them down, not demoralizing them, but leading in the right way. And they're very talented as well.
Yeah, good to hear. Round 2, right here at your ballpark. Your takeaways from the night, Coach, and also we'll talk a little bit about the seating wise afterwards, but your takeaways from round 2 a year ago. That's the talented ball club that walked in here.
Yeah, Washita Christian is a top-rate program. And I can say many complimentary things about them. They're very good. They're well coached. Coach Fitzhugh runs a first-class program. He's a great guy. And it was a pleasure getting to compete against them and to see how they operate and what they do. It was a competitive game, and looking back, there's just little moments that could have completely changed the course of the game. And we had 3 red zone possessions in which we came away with 0 points. We got the ball all the way down there, and then we stalled out, came away with nothing. We had a pick 6 that we threw backed up inside our own 10-yard line. And that's 3 possessions inside the 20 with 0 and a pick 6. That's 28 points right there. We lose 28-6. So we make those adjustments and correct those little things.
No,
we're good. So those little moments in the game can really start to add up, and things can get away from you. But also really proud of the way that our guys competed hard to the end. They never let up. Didn't matter what the score was or how much time was left on the clock. They competed to the end, and they didn't shy away from that competition.
Right. So you went into the off season, got the guys back for the summer. You got your takeaways from the night. What were some areas you said, got to go address, we got to go fix, we got to get better at?
Well, one thing is communication up front, and our players talked about that a little bit.
Right.
Teams that did a lot of stunting and moving caused us some problems up front. When people were static and our communication was simpler, we were good on offense. But when we played teams like the last 2 games, Opelousas Catholic and Washita Christian did a lot of moving and stunting. It caused us some problems and breakdowns in our communication. So that's something we definitely needed to improve. And something that you can't always do anything about, but thankfully we were able to address, is our depth. Last year we had 27 listed on the roster. Carson Crabtree tore his ACL in the first week of summer, so 1 week into summer we were already down 1, and we never played a game with a full 27-man roster. A lot of weeks once we got to the halfway point of the season or later, we were down to 16 to 18 guys each week. So this year our numbers are up. We're up to 35, and we've got a lot of guys that can contribute and help out. So that added depth is something that's going to be a big bonus for us.
Coach, you went into the playoffs as a 6 seed, 9-1 record. The body of work was there. What do you credit the 6 seed to? I guess you could say, was it just a strong Division IV? I mean, you got the schedule that's presented to you, and you got your district, but you can't go win games for them with the power ranking system. So 6 seed.
Yeah, well, it was a really strong playoff bracket last year. Division IV is a really strong bracket. You got some really good teams in there. And even down at the 12-13 seed, we're Southern Lab and Washita Christian. So it's a really tough bracket. I don't really worry all that much about where we fall in it, because at the end of the day, if you want to get to the top, you're going to have to play them at some point, whether it's in the first round or in the dome. You're going to have to play them. Now, would we like to be higher seeded and get a bye so that we can rest up a little bit and make sure those games are played on our field? Yes, and that's part of why I made our non-district schedule the way that it is, where everybody in the non-district were playing up to get those extra power points. And our district's really good. We got a lot of really good teams in our district that win a lot of games, so that helps as well.
Week 10, the game against OC. Do you feel that week is fueling your group more than what the round 2 game did?
Absolutely, because it's a district game. It's a district opponent, and there's always high stakes on that game. This past year, it wasn't necessarily for the district title, but the few years before that, it was. So that's always a big game. They're a really good team. They're coached really well. Coach Cullen's doing a great job over there. And we compete against each other in every sport. And it's the same kids playing every sport, so they're playing each other year round in all these different sports. That one, and add on top of the fact that it ruined the perfect season. And we're 9-0, 10-0. Sounds a lot better than 9-1. They came, credit to them, they came into our place and they played their best game that night. And they took it to us and ruined our perfect season. So, yeah, there's a little more sting from that one.
Okay. The bye week, Coach. So you've seen the ways that this work, teams that go from week 10, they're playing right away, or teams that might have to wait a couple weeks before they play, which y'all did. You got the bye week. How did you handle the bye week, and would you do something differently if the opportunity presented itself again?
We really used the bye week to focus on ourselves. We had a pretty good idea that we were going to be playing Washita Christian in the second round, because we felt like they were going to win their first round matchup. Obviously they did, and they went on to go play in the dome. But we really used that week to focus on ourselves, correct our mistakes, not push their bodies too hard so we could try to heal up, and focus on the fundamentals. Clean some stuff up so that hopefully that would translate, and we'd use the next week to really start preparing, get fully into our game prep. And I think that's the similar kind of format that I would replicate in the future. There may be some things that I'll adjust if we're fortunate enough to be in that situation again. I don't think that losing that second round game was due to our approach necessarily in the bye week. I think we've ran into a really good football team. They made the plays, and we didn't.
Are you a fan of, if you got momentum, you want to play right away the next week, or are you okay with that type of bye where you can get some guys healthy and the extra prep?
Well, there's pros and cons to both sides of it. I would love to be able to play a game, especially if you're seated that high. You know you're going to be playing somebody where it should be lighter work. Don't want to take anybody for granted, but it should be a game where you can if you can jump out on them, then you can get your guys out and you can stay fresh and stay focused. Because sometimes you can lose focus a little bit if you have a whole week off. But on the flip side of that, every time you step out on the field, you run the risk of getting somebody hurt.
Correct.
So if you have the bye week, you don't have to worry about somebody getting hurt in a first-round playoff game that you may not even necessarily have needed them to play in to win. So there's pros and cons to both sides of it. At the end of the day, I think I would lean towards preferring to play a first-round playoff game. Not saying I want to be seated low enough to do that,
right.
But if the higher seed still didn't have a bye, I think I would actually prefer to play that first-round playoff game because it gives you another home playoff game. It gives you something more to focus on that week, so it's not just kind of waiting for your next opponent. But there's pros and cons to each one.
Correct. What's your biggest question mark going into the season?
Will the young guys step up to be ready by week 1? I feel really confident and our younger guys are going to be stepping into new roles. My question is, how fast will they be ready and adapt to playing varsity football? If it's week 1 and we're off to the races, that's great. Or does it take until week 4 when we start district play against Westminster? Because then you start to get a little more nervous each week when they're not quite to that point where you need them to be yet. We feel really good about the team that we've got. We've got a lot of returning starters. There's not a lot of spots that we have to fill, and most of the ones that we have to fill, we've identified the guys that are stepping into those spots. There's really just a couple that we're looking at that we're still trying to figure out who's going to take this job.
Position groups on this football team, who needs to take the biggest step this offseason, this summer?
I'd say the group that needs to take the biggest step from the end of last season to the start of this season is probably our receiver room.
Yeah.
Because our leading receiver last year was Brooks Capps. He's gone. Our 2 tight ends, Luke Vosberg and Parker Jewell, they both caught a lot of balls. They're gone. So we've got a lot of talent that's inexperienced in the receiver room. Now we believe that this is going to be a really talented receiver room. They just haven't all necessarily proven themselves yet in a varsity football game. So that group, if they take the step forward, and throughout the summer it looks like they have. We think we've identified some guys that are going to be really special players out there. If they do that, then that really opens up the offense even more.
The summer is going on right now. When it finishes, how will this team win the summer in your eyes? You've seen 2 summers already, and you're going into your 3rd. How will this team win this summer?
Do we have our foundation down? Do we have the basics? Because for me, the summer, aside from the weight room and your sprint work and conditioning and all that stuff and building in your mental toughness, summer is for getting the basics in. And then how much can we get in fall camp? And so that really determines how much we're able to do on both sides of the ball, but speaking primarily offensively, because that's the side of the ball that I run. There's a lot that I have planned to get in. How quickly we get the foundation built determines how much of that we're able to get in before the season starts, and how much more multiple we're able to be on offense. So we've got a good start on that, and really we're not moving on from that until we've got it perfect and we're flawless in that. Okay. So when we get to that point, and fall camp's coming up soon, then we can really start expanding what we're able to do.
Upcoming scrimmage, St. John. What do you want to see from your group?
I want to see them get after it, be physical, especially from the young guys. Find out, because it's different doing it in 7-on-7 or in the summer when nobody's got pads on, or in practice if we got a quick whistle, than when you're out there in full pads against another team. I want to see which one of those guys don't shy away when the moment gets big. And I think we've got some guys that are going to step up and they're ready for those moments, but you never truly know until the lights come on.
Non-district slate. How important is it to get off to a good start, knowing what awaits down the road in district play?
Well, if you want to set yourself up for a good position in the playoffs, and especially in this district, you've got to win your non-district. This is a tough district. I fully believe it is the deepest 1A district in the state, where just about anybody you play in our district can beat you. So if you're not handling your business leading up to that, then you can find yourself in a hole real quick that you can't dig yourself out of come district play.
These district games are battles, Coach.
Yeah.
What can you say about the coaching staffs that represent these programs you will have to go against this year?
I've got a lot of respect for the coaches in this district. Every week we're facing some of the top coaching staffs in the state. They're really well coached. It's tough. You've got to bring your A game every week, regardless of whether you're playing a team that maybe 5th in the standings in our district, but the difference between 5th place and 1st place may not really actually be that big. It's just one team's had the bounces go their way and another team hasn't. So you can't take anybody for granted in this district. You got to show up ready to play, and you got to be prepared because the coaches in this district are really good.
You get caught if you start looking ahead.
Yep, absolutely.
Great to see Livonia on the schedule going into year 2, Coach, for communities, for the parish. I want to know from your perspective. I didn't see it, but you coached it. Talk to me about the comeback win a year ago.
That was one of the most miserable starts to a game I've ever been a part of, but ultimately one of the most fun games I've ever been a part of. And we go down 26-0. Nothing's going right. We had several news channels were there that just left. They left when it's 26-0, the game's over, we got enough clips, Livonia wins. And when they went up 26-0, in my head, I'm not thinking about winning anymore. I'm thinking, how can we just make this more respectable? So even if we lose this game, how can we not get laughed out of the building for losing by 50 points? Let's stop the bleeding, and let's take it one play at a time. And sure enough, we start chipping away. We end up working our way down the field. Finally stop shooting ourselves in the foot. Stop turning the ball over. Stop getting penalties. Worked our way down. Punch the ball in. Pull out an onside kick. Recover it. Go down and score again. And you can feel the momentum shift. The first touchdown, we could kind of breathe a sigh of relief. Okay, we're on the board now. Onside kick, score again. Okay, now we're back. And then go into halftime down 2 scores, and then from there, we outscored them. It was 42-8 after being down 26-0. So our guys never quit. But that's the mentality of this program and this community. It doesn't matter what situation is. Half of our games this year, we were down at halftime, and we came back and won.
About for the parish and the communities, how important was it to see that game back on the schedule?
It's a fun rivalry. The stadium was packed. They made the mistake of making us their homecoming game. So I had to crash their party for them, but it was a really fun environment. Both stands both sides were packed, and there's a lot of ties. A lot of our parents went to Livonia, and now their kids go to Catholic, so now they're on the other side. And the kids a lot of the kids grew up together, playing ball together in rec leagues. So, it's really tight-knit community, even though we're not at the same school. Point Capilla is really, really tight-knit parish.
And we could probably see standing room only come week 5 over here at NRG.
Yeah, absolutely. We expect a big crowd. I know all of our fans remember the crowd that we had for the St. Ed game last year, and we're expecting that kind of crowd for the Livonia game this year. We'd love to have that kind of crowd for every game, but especially that one.
And I guess it's never too early to announce that we actually get to be at that game.
Yeah, excited to have y'all come. This will be first time since I've been here that y'all will be coming to New Roads. I know y'all have streamed one of our road games since I've been here, but this will be the first time for us to be able to host you all while I've been here. So we're excited for that.
Get to experience the parish rivalry and the great hospitality.
Oh, yeah.
Looking forward to it, Coach. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Division 4, select. My goodness. You had 11 and 12 in the semifinals a year ago. Is this sucker wide open this year? Are we not top heavy?
I think it might be even more wide open this year than it was last year. There's so many good teams in this bracket. You really never know how it's going to shake out. So really, it's anybody's game, especially come playoff time. You've got your traditional powers and your heavy hitters that'll be there, like a Vermilion Catholic, like Southern Lab, Kentwood, Washita Christian. They're going to be there, but that's not the end of it. There's a lot of good teams in this bracket.
Coach, let's talk about this real quick. Riverside, Washita Christian. What will it take for you guys to take that next step?
I think we're there. With the progress that we've made over not just this offseason, but the past 2 years.
And you go out real quick. I don't mean to cut you off. Both of those teams went on to play in the state title.
Yeah, so the moral of the story is if you beat us in the playoffs, you're going to the state championship game.
So y'all right there. You're competing with two teams that went on to play for a state title. So what's it going to take to take that next step?
Just comes down to making the few extra plays in those big moments. The Riverside game was a 2-point game. Washita Christian, we went over that a minute ago. It's just those little things, making those little plays, and then capitalizing when you have an opportunity.
Coach, when guys do leave your program for football and go on to other sports, you say you love to go and watch them compete. How important is it for kids to play multiple sports here at Catholic Point Competing?
Well, a small school like this, if guys didn't go play multiple sports, we couldn't have multiple sports.
Yeah.
So we need them to do that. But it helps develop their skill sets in different ways. I think it was a former LSU baseball coach. I heard a quote from him saying that he'd rather have a guy in the middle of the winter shooting free throws with a game on the line, feeling the pressure of an entire gym on his shoulders, than just hitting balls in a cage by himself. Because those moments build your character, just like the skills translate that you learn and develop in those other sports.
Yeah. How about the growth of Catholic Point Competing sports since you've been here? They got some outstanding coaches on campus.
Oh yeah, we've got some really good coaches and some really good leadership. We've got great principal Curry Foreman who does a great job supporting all of our coaches. Our athletic director and girls basketball coach Joe Neal. You couldn't ask for a better athletic director, a better leader of your overall sports program. He does a great job supporting us in every way possible. He's at everything, and not just there because it's his duty as an athletic director, but he's there to be involved and support the coaches and the players. So we have great support, great alignment within the school and our athletic department, and they've done a really good job of bringing good coaches in here.
At this time, let's introduce your 2025 coaching staff.
Yeah, right now, we've got myself. I am the offensive coordinator. I coach quarterbacks and coaching defensive backs as well. Adam White is in his first year here as our assistant principal and defensive coordinator.
Okay.
He's also our offensive line and defensive line coach. Great coach, has a lot of experience, some really big-time programs. Keith Morgan is somebody that we hired back in January, so he's compared to Adam, he's the veteran on the staff. He's other than myself on the football staff, he's the longest tenured coach. We completely turned over our staff, and he's got a lot of experience, been coaching for a long time. He's primarily coaching running backs and linebackers, but on a small staff, we have to play multiple roles. So he's also worked with the defensive line, the linebackers, the secondary. He helps with the receivers. And then we're all tag team and special teams together. So those are our 3 full-time coaches that we have on staff.
Coach, what will success look like for this team beyond wins and losses?
Do we develop the character of our players and help prepare them to become men? That's more important than anything that happens on the field. To develop them as men, not just athletically, but also spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Faith is a big part of our program. Obviously, this is a Catholic school, so faith is going to be at the forefront.
Right.
But even within our program, we have weekly team devotions. We typically do that on Thursdays throughout the season every week, and we have seniors get up and lead those devotions. They'll find passages in Scripture that they lead. So equipping them to lead spiritually, not just lead within a team or an organization or be leaders in their job or their community, but equipping them to lead spiritually as well. So those are the pillars of our program.
Coach, what do you lean on when things are going wrong? Do you go back to the training that's been put in, the trust factor, leadership on the field?
Lean on my players. I have a lot of faith and confidence in them because they're out there. They're out there on the field. They can see stuff that I can't, and they're in the line of fire. They know what's going on. They've played a lot of football. Our guys are very experienced and they're smart. They prepare extremely well. So I rely on them. Probably more than they rely on me when it comes to making adjustments. Because I'm asking them, what do they see? What are their ideas? What suggestions do they have? How do they think that we can do something better? What makes things easier for them? I rely on them.
How much freedom do you give your guys on the field to make those adjustments?
Well, it depends on the player, and if they've demonstrated that they can do that and be trusted with that. But once they've demonstrated that, then they have full freedom. The past 2 years, we haven't had the depth to get guys off the field to make those adjustments until halftime. So I've got to be able to equip them and trust them to talk amongst themselves out there on the field because I can't get them off to talk to them. I've got to trust them to make those adjustments out there. And so they've got freedom to do that. And Jude is one that has I give him a lot of freedom. He has the freedom to, if he doesn't like my play call, he has the freedom to change it. He can flip plays, he can adjust plays, he can change routes if he wants to. But he's proven capable of that. Some of our best plays last year was stuff that I didn't call. We busted a big run against Livonia to ice the game, and it was not a play that I called. He checked out of it. But that's also having a quarterback that is not selfish. Because a lot of times you give a quarterback the freedom to change plays and check out of stuff. They're not necessarily going to be checking out of a pass play to hand the ball off to the running back. They're going to be checking out of runs and wanting to throw the ball all over the yard or doing something to call their own number. But that play right there, iced the game. We busted a big 50-yard run, and it was just him checking to a handoff because he saw something. And there were those stories all throughout the year. And every big game, there was a moment where he made the adjustment. He called something that was a big play for us. It wasn't me calling it. I called something completely different, and he made the correct call.
Let's stay there. Your quarterback's coach. You've been coaching the position a long time. How do you teach your quarterbacks to read defenses pre and post snap?
Well, our passing game is fairly simple, and it's a lot of it's progression based. So telling him where to look pre-snap. We have something that he knows. He's got one. Most of the time, he's got 1 to 2 keys that he's looking pre-snap, and it'll tell him he's got one thing. If he like say we've got an alert route, which is our pre-snap read. We're looking at this guy pre-snap. If it's there, we like it pre-snap. He takes it. He doesn't look at anything else. But it's got to be the perfect picture for us to throw that. If he doesn't like it pre-snap, we're not looking there post-snap because that's not part of the progression after that. And then checking the safety. Safeties, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be your best indicator on what coverage you're getting. And then it's just process of elimination. If they're giving us too high, all right, I know I got to cancel out this. And so it speeds up the process. And him just understanding his progression and knowing where he needs to go.
How do you get your players to understand not just what to do, but why they are doing it?
I think for us it's sharing the full picture with them and having them understand how what they do impacts everybody else on the field. Like, for instance, our 7-on-7, we came back. I gave them the week off for the 4th, and right before that we'd had a big 7-on-7 tournament. And so when we came back, we went in. The first thing we did was watch all the film from that 7-on-7 and discussed their routes and how if they don't run their route exactly right, it could keep somebody else from getting open. So understanding your break point, understanding your aiming point to give us the right spacing. It's not always about running the route to get yourself open. Sometimes you're not the primary target. Sometimes they're going to be in a coverage that takes you away. Maybe you're getting doubled because you're our best guy. So being unselfish and understanding, I don't just need to do things that are going to benefit me. I need to do my role in this so that we as a unit can thrive.
How do you avoid over adjusting and just stick to your identity?
I think it's really just relying on what the players are comfortable with, and they're going to be comfortable with our identity and what we do most. So we fall back on our basics, fall back on our training, fall back on our identity and what we do. Especially when things aren't going right, you simplify, you get to what your players are comfortable with, and you trust them to make it happen.
Hosted a 707 tournament. Second year, third year?
Second year doing it.
Second year. How about the success of that, and it continues to grow?
It's a good event. It's not like one of these big 7-on-7 shootout things. It's a good group of smaller schools, just like us, with good coaches that are there to get work in. It's not these big media events that you see all over social media and stuff. It's good coaches that are there to get work in, that are not just going to come out running stuff that they don't run during the season because they're trying to win 7-on-7 games. These guys are working on football. We just can't add the big boys in.
Can we in the future work around my work schedule so I can come watch?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's something we can work on.
No, don't worry about me, Coach. Continue to do what you do. Every year I see the times. I say 8 a.m. I'm probably loading an 18-wheeler by now.
Well, you avoid the heat when you do it that early.
That's it.
So trying to keep everybody cool.
Absolutely. What values matter most in your program, even more than just a final score?
Well, we go back to faith again. Obviously everybody's going to hear about Christ just by coming to this school, because it is a faith-based school. But I want to make sure that by the time everybody walks out the doors of the program for the last time, that not only have they heard, but that they have been pushed to have a deep relationship with Christ. And then also discipline. Discipline is a pillar of our program. And that we have quotes on the board every week about discipline and how it impacts your goals and your life in general. You heard the boys talk about effort and toughness. Those are identity words for our program. One of my biggest struggles when we're doing sprint work is getting them to relax and rest between reps, because they're so intent on max effort, never walking around anywhere, and just going constantly, which is a good struggle to have. I'd much rather have the struggle of having to tell you, hey, rest, relax, we're not going again yet, than having to constantly get on guys to be hustling and getting their work done.
What's the difference between a team who works hard and a team that competes every day?
Competition drives you. I think you get more motivation from competition, and you're pushing each other to be better. It's one thing to just be working and trying to improve yourself, but it's another to have an eye on that other guy, and y'all are pushing each other, trying to better each other, trying to beat each other, but in a good, healthy way.
Let's talk about when it clicks on a Friday night for a kid. Talk to me about the process of how rewarding or what it makes you feel like when you see it click on a Friday night for a kid finally.
Oh, it's a great feeling, especially the longer I've been here, I've known these kids longer, and the older ones now, I got to know them when they were freshmen or sophomores, and seeing the progress that some of them have made. We've got one of our starting defensive linemen, I joke with him all the time, Owen LaCour. When he was a freshman, it was my first year here, and he was struggling through every drill, was like a coordination was like a baby giraffe and was throwing up every time we did any sort of conditioning. But to see where he's at now, he's built like a brick house. He works his tail off. He started for us last year as a sophomore until he tore his ACL, and was one of the hardest workers in our program. And just seeing a kid make progress like that, seeing him buy in to what's going on, it's a great feeling. It's a big sense of pride, and the amount of pride that I feel for him as a person and what he's been able to accomplish for himself. And he's just one example. You know, every kid has those moments, but he's one that stands out to me because of how far he's come. You know, it's great to see that the moment when it clicks for those guys.
Most difficult thing to overcome in a season? Is it the injuries, outside noise, worrying about kids' grades, or just being that father figure, worrying about those kids outside of football?
I think here at this particular job is injuries. Thankfully, a lot of those other things, you know, I'm blessed to be in a position like I am at Catholic Point Capee, where a lot of those other issues are not concerns here because it's taking care of the kids, take care of it, the parents take care of stuff. I don't have to worry about 99% of my roster. I don't ever have to worry about their grades or them doing something stupid off the field that's going to take them away from the program. But injuries, on the other hand, with a small team, even though our numbers are up, you know, one injury to a key guy, the drop off here is bigger than if you're at a 5A school and you've got 100 kids. Going from your QB1 to your QB2 here is a lot different than going from your QB1 to your QB2.
Correct.
When you've got 10 of them.
How often do you go back to the basics, even at practice?
All the time. Just today, we had a defensive day outside, and Coach White, our defensive coordinator, was leading some not full tackle drills because it's summer, but just some basic fundamental tackling stuff like we were teaching third graders, because you can't ever neglect the fundamentals. That's something we did yesterday offensively. Monday we watched the film from our 7-on-7 to show the mistakes, to clean stuff up. And so yesterday when we went out there and started repping that stuff again, we stayed on one concept almost the entire time out there, just going over the fundamentals, going over the basics to get it perfect. If you don't have the basics and your fundamentals right, then it doesn't matter what you put on top of it. You're never going to reach your potential.
Let's go to your quarterback, Jude Morrison, year 2 as the full-time starter. Had to play midway through halfway of the season his sophomore year. So he's got a lot of thread on his tires.
Yep.
What stands out about Jude Morrison, Coach?
His ability to get the job done and the confidence that he inspires in his team. They completely believe that he's going to get the job done whenever the game's on the line, whenever there's a play to be made. They believe in him, and the coaching staff believes in him. And that's not just throwing the ball or making the right decision. It's his toughness as well. Getting the hard yards on a quarterback sneak, on 4th and goal from the 1, making sure that he puts his body on the line to get across the goal line. He's going to do whatever it takes. He's going to put his body on the line. He's going to make the plays, whatever he has to do. And he inspires confidence in those around him.
Running back, Micah Nipple, returning starter for you. Talk to me about what he brings to the table that's so special that could be in for a really big season.
Micah is a freak athlete. I mean, he is built like an NFL running back. I mean, you look at him and he's all cut up, strong as an ox, can lift the building. But he's also one of the fastest guys on the team. I mean, he consistently runs 4.6s, moves well, catches the ball well out of the backfield. So he's a true every down back, can get the hard yards, can break one off. We can empty him out of the backfield and have him run routes. He's an explosive player. He's very dynamic. We're expecting a big year from him. Last year he shared carries with Parker Jewell, and both of them had really good years. This year it's not going to be 100% on Micah, but it's almost all on Micah. He's going to carry the load. He is our bell cow. So, and he wants that role. He embraces it. He's ready for it.
Receiver room, uncertainty right now. Have to get those game reps. But speak to me about a guy like Edwin Williams, and what have you seen from him?
Yeah, Edwin is just going to be a sophomore this year, but really good athlete. We saw a lot of potential out of Trey last year as a freshman. He showed some flashes and made some plays. Needed to develop his body a little bit more, and he acknowledged that he needed to have that time in the weight room. He needed to get a little bigger, a little stronger, so he could be more physical. And he's put that work in. We're really excited about him. He's gotten taller, he's gotten faster, gotten stronger, more explosive. He's got the potential to be a Division I receiver. He's been showing it all summer. We need him to continue to show that, continue to develop, and he can really be that guy that's just, when things aren't open, throw it up to your guy and trust him to make a play. We saw that in our 7-on-7 tournament. That's something I've really been pushing Jude on this summer. We've got a guy out there that we believe in to make plays for us. Even if he's not open, give him a chance. Let's give him an opportunity, especially right now where it doesn't, not going to say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter if we get picked off. So
Gotcha.
let him have the opportunities to show us he can make us those plays. And he did big time in the 7-on-7 tournament. He does it every day in practice. So it's really comforting to have a guy out there where even if something's not open, throw it up and give him a chance, and more times than not, he's going to come down with it and make the play for you.
Coach, it sounds like his best football is ahead of him.
Absolutely.
Offensive line, sounds like it's a senior leg group. How excited are you about the big boys up front this year?
We are very confident in those three seniors that are returning starters on our offensive line. Colby Canizero is our center. Nick Vosberg is one of our tackles, and Jacob Cavallero is another one of our tackles. Those three guys played well for us last year. That's three seniors in three key spots. We're really excited about what those three are going to be able to do. The question is, who steps up in those two guard roles? We've got guys that have experience playing there. You talked with Zane tonight. He's one of them that started at guard for us, but he's our starting middle linebacker. Right. So in a perfect world, my starting middle linebacker is not playing guard as well, because that just tires him out more. The more snaps you play, the more tired you are, but also the more you open yourself up to injury because you're playing fatigued. Another guy that has experience playing guard is Graham Roy. He's our starting nose guard, and he's really good there. I don't want him having to play both sides of the line. So does somebody else, does a younger guy step up into those two roles?
It'll be who's your 6, 7, 8, who's going to take that 4 or 5 spot.
Yep, and absolutely. Are those 6-7s going to close the gap enough? Maybe they're not quite as good, but if they close the gap enough to where the fatigue factor evens it out, then that's an ideal situation for us. And we've got the depth, we've got the numbers. Just do those guys step up to where they're fully ready to be full-time starters by the time week 1 gets here.
Gotcha. Defense. New defensive coordinator this year. What's the conversations like with him as y'all go into the summer, go into the fall, and get ready for a St. John or a St. Ed's or a Red River week 1?
Adam White is doing a great job as our defensive coordinator so far. Our players are confident in him. They trust him. They believe in him. And we're not fully into our install yet. We're taking our time, as we've talked about the fundamentals and basics several times already tonight, and we're making sure they've got that stuff down. We've also got smart football players. They're able to take a lot on their plate. They understand a lot. They've done a lot. Part of playing many different defenses over the past 3 years is they've been exposed to a lot of different schemes.
They've seen it all.
Yeah, so they've got familiarity with a lot of different stuff. But he's doing a great job so far. I'm fully confident in him. It's great to have a coach like that on staff where, as a head coach, I can say, what do you need me to do to help with defense? But I'm not worried about what you're doing. You take it. I have full confidence in you to run the defense. Just let me know how I can help instead of having to watch over his shoulder or make the adjustments for him.
Special teams. Sounds like Jude Morrison's the guy right now to punt and kick, but you still got other little factors. Somebody's got to hold. Yeah. Somebody's got a long snap. We got to worry about making sure kids stay in lanes. I mean, we got a lot of special teams to go before the season gets here.
Yep, we do. Thankfully, we've got a lot of those pieces returning. Jude's been our punter for the past 2 years. Been all-district punter the past 2 years. He hasn't been the full-time kicker, but he has experience kicking. And I know he can do it. I mean, he'll just be messing around out there drilling 30-yard field goals. Now that we kick many field goals or haven't kicked any at all in the past 2 years.
Hey, we're going for it.
Yeah, we're going for it.
Throw up the old Longhorn too.
Yeah, but he's confident and capable in that. Our holder is Micah Nipple. He's been doing that. I know he did it last year. I think he may have done it as a freshman as well, so he's experienced.
It always helps to have you starting running back right there to just take off.
Yep, and he's also one of our backup quarterbacks as well, so he can throw the ball well. He's also our deep snapper on punt. He did that last year. Our snapper on extra point field goal is Colby Canizero, so that's another guy that's back. Our punt returner is Cooper Burke. He's back. He's a junior. And then our kick returners, Brooks Capps, he graduated, but the other guy was Cooper Burke. So on those specialist positions, we really just have the one returner spot to fill. We feel like we have guys that are capable of doing that. And another big thing with special teams is our added depth this year. There's more bodies to throw out there.
Bodies you can add on.
Absolutely, not having to have a guy who's maybe they're playing offense and defense and then having to go run down on kickoff. There was last year, the Sacred Heart game, we were so banged up, had so many guys out with injury. At one point, Brooks Capps had ripped off a big touchdown. He caught a screen and took it 60, 70 yards to the house. And then he's in when we're kicking extra point to help protect. And then we're going to do kickoff, and he comes to, Coach, I need a breather. You got anybody? Turn to the sideline. Who do you see? It was just, I think it was Colby Canizero was there, not dressed out because he was hurt. Yeah, Rory Lambert on the sideline. Great football player. Not somebody you want running down on kickoff. Who over here do you want to go out there on kickoff for you? He's like, I got it. So, the added depth will help us get some of those guys a break more on special teams. But that doesn't take any emphasis off of it. Special teams is a huge point of emphasis for us.
Still important.
We mentioned the onside kick in the Livonia game. We onside kick a lot. We recover a lot of them. We fake punts. We've had many games that have been either decided or changed on blocked punts. We block a lot of punts. The Westminster game, we wouldn't have won that game if it weren't for a block punt, scoop, and score. We blocked punt the year before, White Castle. There's a game, they were undefeated going into it. We were finding our footing. We were 2-2 at that point. And it was a dogfight early in the game in the first quarter. I think it was 8-0. Close game. We were struggling. We block a punt, recover it in the end zone, and then we go on to blow them out. So you never know when those special teams plays are going to come back and make a big difference. The Archbishop Hannon game, we were down multiple scores at halftime. Coming out of halftime, Brooks Capps houses a kick return. From that point on, we go on to win 44-27. So many times games have been completely flipped on their head or just won because of plays on special teams. So we put a big emphasis on that.
Okay. Has this team carved out its identity yet, or we're still waiting to figure that out?
I think each year you have a plan and an idea what your identity is going to be, and you can preach it, but until those lights come on and you hit somebody else, sometimes you have to make an adjustment to what your identity is. And we have our overall identity is we're going to be a physical football team that's multiple on offense, can beat you in multiple ways. We're going to be We're going to make game-changing plays on special teams, and we're going to have a physical run-stopping defense that'll punch you in the mouth. Now, how to enact that identity, how that plays out, may change once the season gets here. We have a few in our offense. We've got our plays. We're like, these are our identity plays. This is what we're going to run. We may learn in fall camp. Okay, this looked great on paper. We did it good against the bags. We did it good on air. But we're actually a little better at running this. So maybe this becomes our identity play. Our philosophy didn't change, but that identity play may change at some point.
Coach, at this time, if you can let us know maybe about any fundraisers coming up, finished, what's to look for, media over here. I know you guys got a great group that streams games, photographers, all that. Maybe the Booster Club that you would like to mention. I'll step away at this time and let you go through those things.
Yeah, so we just wrapped up our fundraiser, and we got great community support from that. Our numbers, we blew it out of the water compared to what we had done the past 2 years. So we really appreciate all the support that we get from our family members and our community for that. We've got great support all around. You mentioned our film crew, Jeff Morrison and Wyatt Walker, do our play-by-play. They stream our games. And they're entertaining. They do a great job. And they get paid really good for that. They got a T-shirt last year, so they do it for the love of the program, the love of the kids. And they do a great job. All of our parents, the dads that come and paint the field for us, the moms that come and do a deep clean on our locker room, the weight room. The parents providing our meals for us every week. Green Hornet Club does a great job providing some assistance with any equipment or stuff that we need, paying for our buses when we travel. The list goes on and on of people to thank. The support here is incredible. Apologize if there's anybody I'm leaving out. There are a ton of people that contribute to making this program what it is.
Backing of this community is unreal, and they support all of us.
Yep, absolutely.
If you're in the area on Friday night, the place to be is NRG Field.
Yep, there's not much going on around here on Friday nights during football season, except for the NRG Field.
Describe an unsung hero and who could take on that role this year.
To me, an unsung hero is a guy that does the dirty work. Maybe they're a guy that makes plays on special teams, or maybe it's the guy that's lined up on one sideline defensively and makes a tackle 30 yards down the field on the opposite sideline because he hustled. He didn't just stand there and watch the play happen. Nobody just watching the game is going to recognize that kid busted his tail to save a touchdown. And so there's that unsung hero part right there. Your offensive line is another. Those guys never get the glory, they never get the praise. But without them, nothing gets done. So really, the unsung hero, who could be that this year? Any of our guys up front. And they do need to get more praise than they do. With our identity being a physical football team, it doesn't happen without those guys.
And when you will see a platform like us make sure to recognize those guys. We semifinal weekend, player of the game honors went to an offensive line. So I mean, we understand how important they are to our program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your tempo of the game you prefer?
I prefer to go fast.
Okay.
Has that been beneficial for us here the past 2 years? No, because of how many guys we had going both ways.
Yeah.
The faster I go on offense, the more tired my own defense gets, because our defense was the offense. So the more slowing it down on offense is I can control the tempo of our offense. I can't control the tempo of the other team's offense when we're on defense. So I can slow it down when we're on offense to give our guys a little bit more time to catch the breath. This year is based on rough estimate of our depth chart. It's looking like if the young guys are expecting to step up, do step up, and the only person going both ways would be Jude, playing quarterback and free safety, playing both ways full time. We got other guys that will play both sides of the ball, but not have to do it full time. Okay. If that's the case, pedal to the metal. Let's go.
Couldn't agree.
Yep.
Not naming injuries, okay? What's the most difficult thing you had to overcome a year ago?
Most difficult thing to overcome. I think it can be difficult when you're having so much success to remind our guys that humility is only 1 week away. And credit to our guys, they did a good job of staying locked in. Another thing we struggled with for a stretch, for some reason, was slow starts. We had a month straight where we started off every game playing like a completely different team, and then had to light a fire under ourselves to dig ourselves out of a hole. So that was a struggle that we faced last year for a while. We ended up being able to correct it, but that was a big struggle.
Okay. Every year is different. How have you grown as a coach?
Countless ways. I think every year that goes by, I realize, I think back on my previous players from my first year, even just from last year, man, I was really an idiot. I didn't have a clue about this. How did we even win games and how much I didn't know that I learned, whether it's through the course of the season or trying to make myself better in the course of the offseason. And I think the measure of getting better, the more you realize how much you don't know, shows you that you're really starting to improve and get better, and that you acknowledge the areas that you need to grow.
How much film would you say you watch in a week? Also, you got a great group on your hands that know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But how do you teach those younger kids that are coming in? Here's what we're looking for.
So, how much film do I watch? Too much, probably.
Just don't turn us on Wednesday night. Watch film.
Yeah, it's constant. We watch film a lot together as a team. Whether it's game film or practice film, we'll watch the same stuff repeatedly. Every little detail matters. So it's teaching guys whether it's how to look for the overall scheme. How do they block this front? How does it change if the defense presents them a different look? To get the overall purpose behind what they're doing. Or looking at your guy, does he have any tells? If he lines up this way, does that give something off? Does that give something away? If the outside receiver is normally on the ball, if they slot off or they flip it, does that tell you something? Does that give away? So trying to equip them with those tools to know what they're looking for so they can better prepare themselves. Because it's hard, especially with a smaller staff, when we have to focus on the big picture, to look at every single little detail of every individual player. So equipping those guys, our players, to notice that stuff as well, to bring it to us, to make the whole team better, and make the entire team, the staff, and the players better informed, goes a long way. Our guys are really smart football players. They prepare extremely well. We would not be nearly as good of a team if it was just the coaches doing that.
It's 26-0. You're down by 2 scores to Hammond. Why is body language so important?
Because you have to maintain confidence. I'm in those moments, I try not to be overly rushed. try not to show too much frustration. I think most of our guys will tell you, I don't yell a lot. When I do, it gets their attention quickly because they don't hear it a ton. But when you get overly emotional, you make mistakes. Whether it's getting too high off of a success that you lose focus, or getting too down on yourself when something goes wrong, and you lose the confidence to make the next play. So in those moments, you just got to focus on the next play. Let's correct what we did and focus on the next play. You don't get everything back in one. You can't score 28 points in one play. So let's make the next play. Execute your next block, one play at a time, and we'll find our way back.
What do you think is the most important quality in a leader?
Discipline. Discipline to do things right on their own, to hold themselves accountable. Because you can't lead if you're not doing things right yourself. If you're late to practice, you can't get on to somebody else if they're late to practice or if they're lagging around your why are you slacking off right now? You weren't even here on time, were you? Or you're slacking off on a drill, but you want to turn and yell at the freshman for slacking off on the same drill. They just watched you do that. They're mimicking your behavior. Yeah. So discipline and leadership. To hold yourself accountable, to do all the little things right. You can't hold somebody else accountable if you're not being accountable yourself.
Smaller program, depth has not been in your favor. The conditioning program has to be intensive. Talk to me about what occurs to get those guys to go play 48 minutes.
Well, you can never fully get yourself in game shape through practice. You get in game shape by playing games. So everybody's going to struggle with conditioning or with cramps and that kind of stuff at the start of the season because you don't get the same intensity and the same adrenaline from practice that you do in a game. You can do everything in your power to mimic that, and we do. We do everything we can to get it as close to the game intensity. But it's just impossible. So I think what separates us is not the conditioning to prepare, because we do that, we prepare our body, but it's the mentality and the toughness to keep pushing and to overcome that.
Okay.
Because everybody's tired. Who's going to be tough enough to still give everything they got in the next round? Everybody's tired. It's not the least tired guy wins. It's the guy that's tough enough mentally to overcome that feeling of exhaustion that's going to win the next rep.
EAT. There you go. What were some of the toughest parts of those transition years?
Well, when you come in as a spread coach to a program that's been running flex run forever, you wind up with an offensive line that has never pass blocked. They didn't know anything about pass protection. They didn't know technique. They didn't know pass protection rules or scheme. So that was a big challenge. Receivers that had never really run routes, so I had to worry about catching balls. They were great blockers. They were great perimeter blockers. They weren't used to running routes and catching balls. Quarterbacks that we throw the ball more in one game than they would throw it in their career. Yeah. So there's so many aspects of it. I think the biggest part of it is pass protection. The offensive line that doesn't have experience on how to rep that, it's hard to overcome that and learn that quickly.
Okay. Coach, talk to me about all the experience that returns on this team and how crucial is 14 starters back?
It gives you a head start. Not just in scheme, because we've changed up some of our scheme even on offense. The base of what we do, our identity stays the same, but we do change our scheme a little bit each year to fit our personnel. But in their experience and understanding the game, their situational awareness, and that's something that we work on. Last year, every week during practice, we had a period of practice, usually it was on Wednesdays, that we call special situations, where we go over situational stuff that you're not going to encounter every week. Like, you may not even encounter it in the course of the season, but it's stuff that's valuable to know. Like, if we've got one play left in a game and we need a touchdown, what is our play? What are we going to go to? Or like something, taking an intentional safety at the end of the game to run out the clock if we've got enough of the lead to take an intentional safety. Or what are we going to do if it's fourth down and we need to run out the clock and we don't want to give it back to them? How are we going to set up and run a play to run around and earn enough time? Special plays on special teams, kick returns, or what we need to do defensively if a team is trying to run out the clock. How do we handle that situation from a defensive perspective? So all those little special situations we drilled last year, and so having so much experience returning, they've got a base knowledge of it, they've got an understanding of that. Even stuff as simple as down and distance is overlooked by so many people. Understanding what to expect based off down and distance and spot on the field, whether it's left hash, middle, or right hash, or if we're backed up, if we're in the middle of the field, what are their tendencies? And our guys have all got experience understanding that stuff. So the situational awareness, even more, I think, in the scheme, is something that benefits you. You've got so much experience coming back.
Are we still doing breakfast with moms? Is that going to be coming up this year?
Yep, we're going to have that event again this year. It was something they'd done before, and then we brought it back last year, and I credit our moms with that, which are our senior moms now. They were the junior moms last year. They planned the event, organized it, and it was great. We got the boys served breakfast to their moms. We got to eat breakfast with their moms, and I gave a little presentation just on what we do with the program, explain to them how we focus on faith here. We walked them through our process with our devotional, and even gave a little football one-on-one thing, questions that some of the moms might have about the game, what the role is of their son's position, what they do, and it was a really fun event. It was great for those moms to have an opportunity to bond with their sons over breakfast.
Any other events coming up?
On August 16th, which is a Saturday at 7 o'clock, we have what we call Hornet Football Fest.
Are we back on that screen?
Yep.
You can finish what you were saying about the events coming up.
You ready? Yeah. So Hornet Football Fest on August 16th at 7 p.m. It's just like a split squad scrimmage. We divide the boys up. They do some different competitions first, and then we play each other. And it's a free event. We don't charge admission. It's free entry. We do it at the game field. We put them in their game jerseys. It's just a fun way to kick off the school year and football season. Get everybody together, the community come out and support, and the parents get to watch what their boys have been working on. And it gives all the boys an opportunity to get somewhat more game-like reps, and gives us a good look at what everybody's doing. We also have coming up on August 17th, Sunday, that evening, we've got blessing of the helmets. Our Father Decker, the priest of our church, will come and say a blessing over the helmets and the players. And we're inviting the alumni and family members back this year for a prayer service and to be a part of that, and for a supper afterwards. So lots of good stuff coming up. We'll be starting fall camp soon. So, school will be here before we know it. There's only 3 weeks, roughly 3 weeks left until school starts back.
Okay. And just ignore disclaimer right now. they can still hear our voices. Any new upgrades in the works?
Well, they just got done replacing the ceiling in the gym that we're sitting in here. This summer they put all new fencing and updating security on campus, which is great and needed. And then, in the early discussions of making some updates to our athletic facilities in the back, just in the very early stages of that. So hopefully we'll make some progress and get the ball rolling a little more than that. And we've got a great place here. We're appreciative of what we got.
How about the feeder program? You got some great football that's played throughout the youth football, junior high. Talk to me about the feeder program.
Our elementary and middle school programs have been really good at preparing our kids for high school football over the years. And it's a group of dads that do. We have a 3rd and 4th grade team, 5th and 6th, and 7th and 8th grade. And dads volunteer their time and they do a great job coaching those guys and getting them ready. Building that toughness early, getting them ready and getting them excited about playing football when they get to high school and being varsity.
Win, lose, or draw, what's something you're always going to tell your kids afterwards?
I love them. I love my players. That's not just something I say. I truly mean that. I genuinely love all of our players. They're like family. We say that it's not just the players, they're brothers, they're all family. I love them. I want them to know that, believe that, and understand that if there's something that they're going through or struggling with, they can turn to the brothers on the team. They can come to me as a coach. They need advice. They need some guidance. I'm here for them, and I want the best for them.
What's the most rewarding part about coaching high school football?
Seeing the growth off the field of our players. Watching young immature freshmen grow into leaders as juniors and seniors. Watching guys grow in their faith. Watching the changes in behavior as they grow in their faith. And just the overall development of the man.
How do you want your players, I guess I can refer this to, how do you want them to know that you see them as people, not just athletes?
Well, I believe they do. I believe they see it in how I talk to them. And you're never going to see me berate a player. You're never going to see me don't cuss them and tearing them down in front of the team. I have a good relationship with our players. I believe I'm approachable with them. If there's anything they're dealing with, or even just if they think maybe there's a better way of doing something, my door's always open to our players. I think the way I interact with them shows them that I care about them and that I'm there for them.
Is there a moment in your career that you can recall on why you do this?
So many times. There's one that just jumps out in my mind from this job here this past year. Seeing the joy on not just the kids' faces, but the parents' faces in the community. After winning the game, seeing the tears in the eyes of so many people, just how happy and excited they were. I go back to my time in North Central when we won our first game there and broke the longest losing streak in the state. And the players that were on the ground crying because they were just so overwhelmed with joy. And just seeing all the struggles that different people have overcome. Without going into too many personal details with different players have dealt with, and watching them overcome struggles in their life and come out of the other end better for it. Watching them learn how to handle struggle is super rewarding.
Most memorable game ever coached?
It would have to be the St. Ed game this past year. Two undefeated teams going at it. Great game. A lot of respect for Coach Shiver and his program over there. Either team could have won that game. They came into it with a great game plan. It was back and forth. We jumped out first, 2 touchdowns. They came back and took the lead, going into half. We punched back at halftime, took the lead, and held on to it. And it was a game that came down to the last possession. And the environment there was unreal. And that was more people that I've seen at any game featuring 2 1A teams. I mean, standing room only at NRG, people on the fence all the way around, five rows deep in the fence. It was a night I'll never forget. It was an environment that I'll never forget. Credit to our community for giving us that, and to the St. Edmund fans. I mean, they filled their stands up too. So 2 great schools, great programs, great communities that put on a phenomenal game.
Your mentor in the coaching room, who would it be?
There's really 2 that stand out to me the most. Drew Maddox is one. He was a head coach my first year at Glenbrook. I was there as an assistant, and he taught me a lot. Really put some effort into teaching me and helping me grow as a coach. He's now the head coach at John Melvin Pensacola. After he was the head coach for several years, very successful. He was at Christian University. And we've kept in touch over the years, and he's helped me throughout my career, even after we parted ways. Another was a coach that was at Glenbrook with us. He was the head coach there for my second year as an assistant at Glenbrook, and continued there for a few years after that. And David Feaster, legendary high school football coach in Louisiana, has had tremendous success everywhere he's been, at all levels. And I learned a lot from him. And we still keep in touch. And one other guy that was on that staff my second year at Glenbrook, James Thurman, who's an athletic director at Glenbrook now. I learned a lot from him. We grew close and we still talk occasionally. So those 3 guys, we had a great staff. I guess you couldn't tell from some of those names I just listed. Just really contributed to that program turning around and taking off like it did. Those 3 guys really taught me a lot in that time, and it's all guys that taught me as much off the field as they taught.
Coach, what is your why?
To help young boys grow into good godly men that can one day be good husbands, good fathers, good members of their community. I love football. Growing up, my dad was a youth pastor, and for a long time I wanted to be a youth pastor or a football coach. And growing up, playing football, there were a lot of guys that I played with that didn't have good college careers, maybe didn't have any one model in life at home, and weren't in church.